is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
3, 2.
Great beginning. Welcome to DBL. It's Monday, February 22nd. I'm here. Tori. Again, I did it. I'm Tori here with Lindsay and Al. And Lindsay, how your coffee's okay?
You know what? I try every day to just not spill my coffee. Today my cup was massive and I had to hand it underneath this thing to Al.
I just saw her struggling pre-show.
Yeah,
she's
3,
not
2,
tall
1.
enough, her arms are not long enough to reach down. But she did it with the other arm too, Tori. Like the other arm would be longer and reach the floor. So
I was hoping,
all I saw was like, what?
okay, because I'm reaching both sides for somebody to save me. Tori's like, well, I'm about to start the show. And Al decides to jump in, so thank you, Al.
Thank you,
I got
Al.
your back,
well
girl.
done. All right. Good morning to all of you. Well, we're kicking this off with a story you may have heard about that actually just happened. No joke. 30 minutes down the road from where I'm sitting right now. Boeing has grounded some of its 777 jets after this happened on board a flight from Denver, where we are headquartered, to Honolulu. With 241 people aboard, one of its engines blew apart and caught fire. It happened over the town of Broomfield, Colorado, where Colorado. I learned that. That's how you say it pronounced correctly. Where people on the ground heard the explosion.
Hear it?
Yeah. Mommy! Hold on, it's just a plane. It's just a plane.
No, it's something blew up.
Wow, giant pieces of the engine fell to the ground, nearly missing this house, while other giant pieces of metal ended up on a field. The plane turned around and made an emergency landing back in Denver. Thank good Lord. Folks on board were clapping as the pilot landed safely. First of all, let's just all take a breath and say, thank God no one was hurt. This could have been such a tragedy.
Yes.
But second of all, Boeing, what's going on? We got Boeing problems from last year. Now we got Boeing 777 problems. They're grounding some of the flights. Are we checking these airplanes? Are they being given enough regulations? What's going on? I have a lot of Boeing questions, and I'm looking right at Mr. Boeing.
There it is. Can't
Well
find him
done.
because I don't know if he exists. It's so interesting we're talking about this because my mama called me yesterday.
Oh, gosh.
And asked me if I was okay. And, my mom is in South Carolina doing her black mom thing. Like, I had a feeling about my baby. I saw that some plane parts fell out. And I was like, what are you talking about? And then I quickly found out, if this had happened over more of a metropolitan area, this could have been really bad. That's why they have the flight routes the way that they do. But with that said, we are starting to see, it's not happening a lot, but it does seem like there's some issues.
Am I right?
I don't know enough about.
If I were a Boeing stockholder, I'd be worried right now. I'd be like, what's going on? I just want to know what Lindsay would be like on that plane.
Oh.
Okay,
Can you
so
imagine, Al?
The calm part of me would be like, okay, I know all planes have 2 engines, right? So one goes down there equipped to fly somewhere at some base with 200 miles or so and make it. But the part of me that would be sitting on that plane would be devastated. I would be like that kid on the ground that was screaming. That would be me on the plane, and that would be a disaster for everyone.
Oh my God.
But seriously, I just wonder, during coronavirus, we had all this time where people weren't flying. To me, airlines were complaining about losing money. This would be a perfect time to make sure that your equipment is up to par, have people checking in on safety, way less flights going out.
point.
So I don't understand how this is happening when we're just picking back up flying. It's not making United Airlines look good. It's not making Boeing look good. I'm really just lost about how this happens.
I am too.
Yeah, well, I told you that time that I was, when I used to be a comedian for Carnival Cruise Lines, I was flying back from Cancun back to the United States. I'll never forget Mexicana Flight 306. I was in the aisle. We're ascending. It was very rough. The flight attendant came over and said something in Spanish. The woman behind me burst into tears.
Oh, no.
There was a young lady who was just a traveler who I ended up talking to. She gripped my thigh. Stuff was coming out of the overheads. I don't know what was going on. I knew it was like the roughest flight ever. And we got back to Miami so late that the person sitting next to me, I let her stay at my house because she got stuck at the airport.
Oh, you're such a good person.
Yeah, but it was the craziest day ever.
So let me ask you, what was your composition? Were you okay?
I was probably hammered.
Okay, got it. Thank you for that. Thank you for the honesty. That's Al. Probably hammered. I love it. All right.
Still went out that night. Miami, baby.
Miami.
Old school Al.
Good Lord. I've never been. Always wanted to go.
That was my LeBron and high school years.
I'm taking you to Miami, Tori.
I can't wait. I want to go to Miami. Wouldn't I be good in Miami?
You would be great in Miami.
Buen bonito.
It's a great city.
All right. Well, a California school board is in some hot water after getting caught in a hot mic moment. These are some of my favorites notes because we really get to see what people were thinking during a virtual meeting. So members of the school board did not know that the meeting had already opened to the public when they started commenting amongst themselves, thinking they were alone. So here is what some of them were caught saying. Take a listen.
If you're going to call me out, I'm going to you up. Sorry, that's just me.
They want to pick on us because they want their babysitters back.
Right. Right.
Well, now the president and 3 school board members have resigned, saying they were stepping down to, quote, help facilitate the healing process. But the question is really, should they have to resign? If these were just jokes and they were not meant for the public, would an apology be enough? To me, I'll be very straight with you. I think they were just letting off some steam. I don't think that was anything that was like, oh my gosh, am I wrong here?
Lindsay, what do you think?
I mean, why are we acting like school teachers are not regular people? Like,
right.
You can be a school teacher, you were. I can be a school teacher, you can. Like, all my friends are school teachers, and we have inappropriate conversations on a weekly basis.
School board as well.
School board members, you know, can run a school board. People are executives and have inappropriate conversations. It's just like where you're having them. And then if you're being racially offensive, like culturally inappropriate, like, but I mean, cursing on and saying like, watch your kids. Who isn't saying that? Watch your own kids right now, because a lot of things have happened over coronavirus where teachers and school board members' whole lives have changed, where they have become babysitters.
Yes.
They've become, and so to me, I don't know if everybody should resign. I think they should definitely apologize.
And also guinea pigs too. We're seeing if the kids will give the teachers corona. Well, we don't know. We don't have any evidence. It's so interesting that we get this upset with teachers only when they curse or when they ask for more money.
More money, I know.
Anything else is kind of okay. I don't understand the anger that people have towards teachers. It's a weird dynamic that we just really haven't come to terms with as a society, because if we say the kids are our future, the person that's with your kids more than you is your teacher, but it doesn't seem like that translates. It seems like there's a little bit of anger, and I feel like you felt that from the teachers, and they were blowing it off jokingly. But it's like they can't joke around like that, but truck drivers can.
Yeah.
Like, what profession is allowed to curse?
Right.
I don't.
That's such a good point. Like, they're just people, and I also feel like society throws teachers and educators, all kinds, under the bus all the time, right? And then they get angry when they have to let off steam about being thrown under the bus. So it's like they've thrown them under the bus twice.
Fast food workers, the same thing.
Same thing. Sanitation workers,
Yes.
all custodial workers.
We love you. We're in this together.
Yeah, right.
Now get my garbage.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. All right, good convo. Well, we have an update on the saga that is Texas Senator Ted Cruz. He posted these pictures to Twitter showing him handing out drinking water after his state was hit very hard by a storm. This comes, of course, after he was under fire for jetting off to Mexico while millions of people in the state were left without power and water last week.
Ironically, that was the water he was taking to Mexico.
Ha ha! Check this out. Someone called a mariachi band to his house to protest the senator.
Listen, he wanted a trip to Mexico. He got to Mexico at his crib.
You know what? You're
First of all,
totally
call
right.
a mariachi band on me. Ironically or not, I would love that. You
Well,
know?
he doesn't. The optics on this. Do you think this is irreversible damage? Because at some point the optics just went down and spiraled and spiraled and spiraled, and now there's a mariachi.
I think it's great. I think, Lindsay, I'm going to get your opinion on this. I just wish I could teach every young man this early in life. The cover-up is worse than the lie.
Yes, 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 yes. My father always taught me that.
It just like if he had just come out and been like, yeah,
Yes.
bro, look, we had these tickets, I wanted to go.
Good
Everybody
point.
been like, bad call, but they would have moved on. But hey, I'm escorting my dog. When he said that, Lindsay.
Yeah, I just was like, you know, your daughters are fairly grown for children's age. You know, your wife is also grown in a proper escort if someone needed to escort them. I just don't think it's time to try to like redeem yourself. Like, you should do everything and probably just be quiet about it. Don't publicly, you know, announce that you're passing out water. It's like, people have been devastated in Houston. People have been devastated all over Texas. And so, you know, I don't think it's enough. I think people are really upset and really hurting. And so I'm just kind of just frustrated that this is even a thing. Like, why even get on the plane?
Tori, do you think he should have done something or done what Lindsay said and just lay low?
I do definitely think he should lay low. I do think the cover-up was way worse. Throwing your daughters under the bus is always a bad idea. But I will say this, AOC, whether you or not you like her political, ideology aside, she's raised over, I believe, $5 million for the people in Texas. She is not even a representative from Texas. Beto O'Rourke isn't even working, and he's raising all this money. So are so many local people down there. So please follow these people if you need warming stations, if you need 1-800 numbers. If you can get on Twitter and follow those, they do list them constantly. We're thinking of you in Texas, and we are sending our love. Coming up on DBL, President Biden has promised to bring the country together, but can it be done? Well, we got outspoken sportscaster Dale Hansen, and he gives us his take. And is the pandemic really putting the brakes on people's sex lives? What? Why, getting hot and heavy is now a distant memory for many. Coming up next, they look sad.
Yeah, that's miserable.
Texas is a disaster area and help is on the way. But more help could be available thanks to a major disaster declaration. So how does that work? Let's connect the dots. The president can make two different declarations in a catastrophe: an emergency declaration and a major disaster declaration. Both authorize the president to provide federal assistance, but the type of emergency that sparks the declaration and the assistance given are different. One thing that's the same: the governor usually has to ask for help. In an emergency declaration, the federal government helps out state and local governments. In a disaster declaration, the feds help the state and local governments, plus the actual people on the ground suffering through the disaster. So what kind of help can victims get? It depends on what the governor asks for, but it can include everything from crisis counseling, legal assistance, and emergency repairs. When it comes to fixing damage in homes, the Small Business Administration can provide loans. And for everyone who doesn't qualify, the Individual and Household Program can jump in, giving money for repairs and temporary housing. But a word of warning: while all this help is great, it comes with a lot of red tape.
At DBL, we're always on.
I'm in control. You're trying to give a conversation up here.
Shouldn't he be held accountable?
Absolutely.
This is where I'm going to push back. Is this my shocked face?
Tori, I will walk up the set.
You should. This February, DBL is all new. I agree with Al on this one. Every day.
Yeah, wow, I said it, Tori. Yo. I'm in control.
Welcome back to DBL. A big shout out to our co-workers tuning in from home during the pandemic. We miss you guys. Look at Stu in that corner over there. All right, well, whether you're single, married, or in a relationship, it appears the pandemic has put a little damper on our sex lives, okay? We're gonna go there. According to an article on Vice.com, the monotony of lockdown is causing all of us to have our sex lives suffer. Some married couples say working from home with their partners has killed their sexual spontaneity since they see each other all the time. Some couples say they're spending more time watching movies or TV, but less time making whoopee in the bedroom. I can't believe that was
like that.
Sorry. Why would I make
Al, you turned Al off for the whole thing.
whoopee?
That was so weird.
Okay, for singles, one woman says she lost her libido after catching the virus. Others say that having sex or even being intimate with someone outside their household is just too risky.
After a year of the pandemic, it's still too risky.
It is. How would you if you were single, would you go out on a date right now?
Well, I would think that we would have a quarantine plan. Like, you're not coming over my house unless you've been quarantining and not lying to me. I guess this is the time where you start to tell if you're dating a liar.
It's tricky, though. It's like, I mean, people, if you don't have the test at the right time, I would be really worried if I were single.
It seems like there's a difference between somebody that you're dating in whatever capacity that's outside your house and somebody that's in your house.
Yes, agreed.
And it seems, I think if you guys are in the same house, I think the energy, Mrs. Healing Crystals, you know about energy, Lindsay, and it's just like when the energy in the house is low and it's kind of depressed, there's not going to be a sexual vibe. But if like every day you're like, hey, let's reset the energy, 10-minute dance party. If like a couple like that, I think they could make it through this.
I also think that it depends. Like like Brooks and I don't have kids, right? So we have like a lot of time to cook and like. I read and I cross stitch and we do puzzles and we watch a lot of movies and it's very romantic. We light fires, so that's easier to have that kind of like as opposed to like you are never getting out of this. I'm always in childcare mode and I don't feel sexy at all.
Right. I think you just like make fun over quarantine, like you guys are both saying. Like if you're in the house with somebody and there are no kids in the house, you're kind of making up fun. So Colin and I will like find things to do that we make it fun so that every day is not boring. I understand how you can have like this mundane, okay, I'm seeing you again, we're waking up again. And there were times during quarantine where I was like, okay, I feel like I'm in like what's the movie that you keep having the same
Groundhog Day.
Thank you. Okay.
She never knows. She knows no movies.
I know no movies, but that's my point. So in order to get out of that, you have to intentionally get out of that. And I think it's just back to normal now.
Yeah.
That's great.
Cooking and
good for you.
know, music.
Music does it, but music gets my neighbors above us banging on the.
Oh really?
Yeah.
You have a hey, cut it down
it's
up
probably
there.
Us though. Colin got a new TV over quarantine. It's very very loud.
Oh boy, Colin. All right, let us know how your sex life is doing. If you guys are feeling more like just Netflixing and not Netflixing and chilling.
No, you said that wrong.
Yeah.
Just watching the movie.
You hear a rush?
Yeah.
You can go.
He just said you can go.
Coming up on DBL, unifying the
like
country.
We're at a casino. Just like when he puts his hand on your shoulder, you can go.
You can leave now. Unifying the country during the Biden presidency. Is it easier said than done? Sportscaster Dale Hansen, one of our favorites from our sister station in Dallas, weighs in with his DBL take.
The 6-year-old was discovered in the family's basement by her father.
911 emergency. We have a kidnapping. There's a ransom note here. Okay, what's your name? Are you Kathy Ramsey? I'm the mother.
The parents are suspected in the crime.
This February, DBL is all new every day. Like, it is such a joke. No, hold on. I was shocked.
I don't know what you're saying.
Here come the Pistons.
I love this story. Stick with us in 2021. We're going to have a great year. Welcome back to DBL. President Biden vowed to unite the country when he took office. But can he do it? Our friend Dale Hansen from WFAA in Dallas has a lot to say on this topic. So without further ado, here's Dale's DBL take.
President Biden and his supporters have talked a great deal about unity and bringing this country together again. And as much as I want to believe in that and hope that we can, I don't see how we can. We live in a country where one of my very best friends said the riots at the nation's capital last month weren't Trump supporters, they were liberals, dressed up as Trump supporters who incited the violence so that we would blame Trump. Well, I do, so I guess it worked. But try telling him that those who committed the violence during the Black Lives Matter rallies were actually conservatives, dressed up as BLM supporters, trying to discredit their cause, and his brain will short circuit and his head explode as he tries to explain that couldn't possibly happen. But it does explain the brain of the Congresswoman from Georgia, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and what a truly horrible and ignorant person she is. She liked a tweet in support of removing House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, saying a bullet to the head would be quicker. She has harassed David Hogg, the young man who saw his classmates killed during the shooting at Parkland, saying it was a staged event, just like the shooting at Sandy Hook, to help the liberals take your guns. She thinks 9/11 was an American plot and a plane never hit the Pentagon that day. And Hillary Clinton has killed children and drank their blood. And yet this woman now has a vote in Congress. After saying she would never apologize and never back down, she has tried to walk some of those comments back by blaming the media. Because it's always our fault when we quote people who say stupid things. I don't think you can unify with someone like that. I don't want to unify with someone like that. And yet her Republican colleagues are quiet, much like they were in the early 50s when a Republican senator from Wisconsin, Joe McCarthy, tried to destroy America. But Boston lawyer Joseph Welch was alive then, and I wish he was now.
You've done enough. Have you no sense of decency, sir? At long last, have you left no sense of decency?
It's a question we should all be asking of those who are tearing America apart under the guise of making America great again. At long last, have you no sense of decency?
Dale, saying it like he means it. I mean, that was some real things. What do you think about Marjorie Taylor Greene and some of these, let's say, QAnon, other people that have become in Congress, infiltrated that? Is that okay? Is that freedom of speech, or have we now not allowed us to unify in any way?
I love that he pointed out the contradiction between what happened. So like when we were trying to confirm a Supreme Court justice under President Obama versus those same people who didn't want that to happen, petitioning for it to happen under President Trump. You know, there were so many different things that happened with both parties completely switching their sides and stances on issues that I think he brings up valid points that, you know, some people just completely let go of morals and just say, I'm doing this to get into this office space or to get into this role, and just going to continue to push their personal agenda ahead of the people they're representing.
Like, personally, I think Marjorie Taylor Greene has no business being in politics. That's my personal business. I think she's crazy. What do you think?
I think it doesn't matter, because all she needs is a certain amount of people that will follow her to the end. And that's what they have. You look at people, they're called cult followings, but it's not. She has a section of the population that believes what she's saying and is probably more committed to her than a lot of people that are just identified as kind of regular Republicans or Democrats. These people read with these people and listen and take in what they say every day. And these people are here to stay. They are powerful, and we need to start taking them seriously rather than saying, yeah, I can't believe she thinks this is this, and what a silly thing. A lot of people think that. She's a representative for a reason. Represents a lot of people.
True, but Dale and I both agree. We don't think we can unify with people like that, and I don't want to. And I think it was an interesting take. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
The Verify team takes on the difficult topics, and we do so by going to the vetted experts to separate what's real from what's just spin. You may have noticed that gas prices have been on the rise lately. GasBuddy reporting an increase to the national average of 7 cents in a week and 17 cents in a month. On social media, some are wondering if the executive order from President Joe Biden to revoke the permit for the Keystone XL pipeline is responsible. So let's verify. What is this pipeline, and is this decision causing gas prices to increase in the short term? Our sources are Patrick DeHaan from GasBuddy and Mark Finley from the Center for Energy Studies at the Baker Institute at Rice University. So let's start with the details. Here's a map of the whole project provided by TransCanada, the company building the pipeline. The solid line is already built, and that dotted line is what would be the XL pipeline.
This is a major pipeline that would carry Canadian crude oil to Cushing, Oklahoma, where much of the nation's crude oil is stockpiled.
So what are the impacts on gas prices in the short term?
I don't think this decision is likely to cause higher oil prices now.
Our experts say that there's a lot at play here, but the big factor is that the pipeline just wasn't done yet, so this decision doesn't affect the current supply.
Pipeline that is not finished, that was never fully realized, does not make as much of an impact as, say, shutting a key artery that's been flowing for years and years.
So what is causing the gas prices to rise?
The COVID is in the driver's seat.
Our experts say that ever since the pandemic hit, demand for gasoline has taken a nosedive. But now that states and cities are opening up, demand is starting to rise. And DeHaan says that we shouldn't be surprised if the gas prices jump yet again this weekend or early next week, since the winter storm in Texas shut down some 20% of our nation's refineries. The big message from Finley is that the rise and fall of gas prices is less about any one White House policy and more about fluctuations in the global oil market.
It's more about the global balance of supply and demand.
So we can verify that no. Our experts say that these rising gas prices are not the result of the XL pipeline decision. With your Verify, I'm Evan Kozlov.
Welcome back to DBL. Y'all wrote in about the sex in the pandemic.
Yeah. That sounds like Sex in the City, but you just changed it to Sex in the Pandemic.
It's way less funny.
It's a spinoff.
Yeah. Lavessa, which I love, said, we're making up new games. Sex is better than ever.
Oh.
So you kind of have to play along. Terry says, I would have messed my pants about being on the plane. And then Ted Cruz, someone said, I know. Elaine says, you missed the fact that Cruz did not quarantine after Mexico. And a lot of you wrote me and said, yeah, that's weird. There's no law about it, but you'd think that he was in an international space, he would have quarantined. But he's out handing Dasani to people.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
At this point, you know, Ted, what else could he do? I mean, he can only try to make it right. So.
Yeah. And finally, Lernzo says the cover-up is always worse than the lie.
Amen.
Right.
All right, good combo today. Goodbye to my coworkers at home today when the pandemic's over. We'll be back together soon. Bye, guys. DBL's new every day.